Dr. Kevin Snyder is a motivational speaker and author with a passion for helping individuals take actions to lead successful lives and achieve their fullest potential. Dr. Snyder is also a columnist for several magazines and the author of Think Differently. He earned his doctorate in educational leadership from the University of Central Florida and conducted research on the impact of self-efficacy on one's ability to achieve desired goals, helping him become an expert on topics of leadership, persistence, and peak performance. Many of you were able to hear from him earlier today during his Conversations That Matter educational sessions on leading the way and the art of effective communication. He is a dynamic speaker and a former Daytona State College faculty member. Please join me in welcoming Dr. Kevin Snyder.
All right. Well, good evening, good evening. Now, some of you are still eating, I know that. But I want you to get your jazz hands out just for a second. Okay, jazz hands, guys, you have them too. Shake them. Ready? Feel it, feel it. If you're feeling good tonight, AFC, if you're feeling good tonight, give me 2 claps. Ready? All right, let's do that one more time. That was 10. Ready? 2 claps, feeling good. 1 clap. 1 clap. Half a clap. Seriously? Now, we're going to have some fun tonight for the next few minutes. Is that okay? If that's okay, say yes. If that's okay, say yes. Yes. All right, look at somebody to your left, to your right, give them a high five and say, good to see me. Good to see you. Thank you. All right. Well, again, my name is Kevin Snyder, and it is truly an honor for me to be here. I've worked on a few communities with Dr. Gary Sly, and I've just been so impressed with his leadership, as well as you all today, speaking with you already for a few minutes. And I feel like I should just acknowledge how impressed I was with some of the attire last night. I did not expect that at the AFC. So I'm impressed, and some of you don't know what I'm talking about because you weren't there. And that's okay. But it's truly an honor for me to be here. I travel across the country speaking to college students on student leadership. I also talk to companies and educators on finding passion in what they do and how to connect and inspire that future generation. And tonight is very special for me because I come from a family of educators, and I'm humbled to be here in front of you, taking up your valuable time. And I believe in what we do. Whether you're here as a spouse of an educator, or whether you are an administrator, or whether you're a faculty, all of us here tonight are educators of some sort for the future generation. And it is an honor for me to simply spend a few minutes of time with you, and I have to just say thank you and give you 2 claps. Good. Now, again, as I mentioned, I come from a family of educators. My mother and my sister are both math high school teachers. I knew that teaching for me was going to be some element of what I did. And when I went into higher education, I saw myself moving in that realm. In fact, I got so passionate, I became so passionate, and I became so just enthused with understanding what motivates students. And what also, more importantly, helps them not just be successful, but get the right kind of job to go into the workforce where they can make an impact. And so I studied that with my dissertation. I studied first-generation college students at Daytona State College who had transferred into UCF Daytona Beach. And I also followed a little bit further, and I wanted to look at single parents who transferred. So first gen who are pioneers among themselves. How many of you here tonight, by show of hands, are a first-generation college student? Look around. You are pioneers. You've done what nobody else in your family has done. You're the first in your family. So I decided I want to know what's, with all 3 of those risk factors, what makes and what helps a student persist? And what I was able to find with the students that I interviewed were 2 simple things. Actually, not quite simple, but 2 things. One was, through education, they saw a better life for their child or children. They saw education as a means to providing a better future for their child because they did not have that. The stories that I heard just humbled me. Secondly, and most importantly, they knew they could do it. So self-efficacy was a component of their belief system, whether it was a mentor, whether it was performance accomplishments in the past, but they had a belief that they could do it. And many of them had shared mentors and teachers that said, I believe in you. They also had people that said, I don't. And that motivated them even further. So what I want to do tonight, for the next just few minutes, is just share with you two simple concepts on how we, whatever role that we have, we can inspire, we can make an impact, we can create that ripple effect that can inspire positive change. Does that sound good? Okay,
Yeah.
and it's only two concepts, all right? Not 10, only two. Does that sound even better? If that sounds good, give me 2 claps. 2 claps? All right. Now, I'd like to start off with a story. The story is the name Roger Bannister. Okay? By show of hands, does anybody know what makes Roger, what anchors some symbolism? Why might we know this name? Raise your hand. Okay, we got a few. Here's what's interesting about Roger Bannister. Back in 1954, he broke the 4-minute mile. People said that before that time that it cannot be done. History said humanly impossible. A human being cannot run a mile quicker than 4 minutes. And then Roger did it because he believed he could. He didn't listen to what other people said. That wasn't what was important. What was important was what he believed. Now, the thing I love about this story is the extra element to it. Within 1 year after 1954, how many people do you think were able to break that same exact record? Just Roger or more? Whoa. What makes you say that? Because the simple thought that they knew it could be done made them believe as well. So I want to challenge you tonight. I want to challenge you to think about what someone has recently said to you can't be done. And you believe it. When somebody said to you, we've tried it that way, and that way won't work. And you believe it. And by the way, that way was 3 years ago. In a completely different climate and culture. So again, what matters most is what you believe. You know? Do you have that belief system that can inspire greatness? And that's what we need to instill in our students. So we need to be that change, like Gandhi says. We need to be that change if we expect our students to be the same. Because that is what, when I was doing my research, I found they had a belief system. They had somebody that believed in them more than they did at the time. And so they listened to it. So look at somebody to your left or to your right. Say this. Think differently to achieve success. Give them a high five. I didn't see it. Give them a high five. Come on. I like y'all. I like y'all. Now, let's make this practical. Let's make this practical. Many of you know the story of the fish philosophy, about a fish market in Seattle on the bay that competes with many other different types of fish markets, okay? All selling what? Dead fish, okay? They're selling dead fish. Now, what is it about this fish market that makes them unique? Does anybody know? What do? Look at the screen here. What are some things that they throw the fish? Look at this up here. This is a picture of a guy taking a picture of a guy selling a dead fish. There are people who take off work to watch these guys and women sell dead fish. These people wake up at 4 a.m. to shovel ice and pack fish to sell dead fish all day. Now, if these guys can do it with dead fish, can we do it with students? Yes. Thank you. But what we need to do, we have to have that mindset. We have to have that mindset that says, how? Because when the owner of this fish market was starting it, years ago, he knew he was competing with several other fish markets, and he knew he had to do something different. He knew he had to change the way his people were going to think to be successful. If you do what you've always done, you'll get what you've always gotten. So what I'm sharing with you tonight, this is mental stuff. This is mental stuff. You don't know me, so you probably just think, oh, yeah, I get that. We know this. You know this. What we have to do is help our students get ingrained with this. And I'm an advocate for education more than you can even imagine. However, I think we spend all of our life conditioning our minds on success and what we think we need to learn. And what we really need to do sometimes is condition our minds on what we need to unlearn. How to unlearn that negative trash talk that goes in all of our heads. I've got it too. But when we're aware that it's going on, we say, okay, thank you. And we don't listen to it. Tuesdays with Maury, a book several years ago that I read, I thought the one piece of that book that I thought was so powerful was when Mitch was interviewing Maury, and Maury was dying, and Maury had a great life. And Mitch said, Maury, how do you do it? How do you wake up every day and you're dying, and yet you still seem to have this positive attitude about life? And you know what Maury said? He goes, Mitch, many mornings I wake up and I cry. But I accept the fact that I'm dying and then I move on. Because I can't change it. And I thought, wow. So he accepts it, he hears it, and yet he says, okay, thank you. Let's move on. So we just need to think differently as administrators, as advisors, as faculty, as spouses to those people to really achieve the success that we want. Amazing, extraordinary leaders think differently. Let me give you a few other examples. I just heard this. I was watching Piers Morgan. I watched Fox 2, don't worry. Okay, I was listening to Piers Morgan, and they had J.K. Rowling on, who wrote Harry Potter. She wrote the entire Harry Potter series, the first two books. The first two books she wrote when she was on benefits, welfare in the UK. Did you know that? She wrote that when she had no money coming. She did that on a belief system. That worked. Look at some of the other great leaders. Martin Luther King. He didn't say, I have a goal. What did he say? I have a dream. He thought different. Did Steve Jobs think differently? Right. Did Ray Kroc at 52 think differently?